Have you ever stared at your phone, heart pounding in your chest, waiting for a message that you know deep down is just going to hurt you? You tell yourself you're done, that you've finally reached your limit, and then, right when you're ready to walk away forever, they say the one thing you've been desperate to hear. It feels like a breakthrough. It feels like a miracle. But in reality, it is a trap. You are not dealing with a sudden change of heart. You are being subjected to a sophisticated psychological weapon known as Hope-Hoovering. This isn't just about dragging you back into a relationship. It is about harvesting your optimism to fuel their ego. It is the cruelest form of manipulation because it uses your best quality, your hope, against you. Most people think they stay in toxic cycles because they're in love, or perhaps because they're weak. But that is actually completely false. There is a specific biological mechanism keeping you chained to this person, a chemical reaction in your brain that mimics an addiction to hard drugs. I'm going to explain exactly how this intermittent reinforcement overrides your logic in just a minute, and once you understand the science behind your heartbreak, the fog will finally start to lift. To understand why this trap is so effective, we first have to define what hoovering actually is in the context of narcissistic abuse. The term comes from the vacuum cleaner. It's the act of sucking you back into the relationship after a period of distance or a breakup. Traditionally, we think of this as dramatic pleas for forgiveness or sudden crises designed to trigger your savior complex. But hope-hoovering is more insidious. It is quieter. It doesn't just demand your attention. It simulates the relationship you always dreamed of having. It's not just a text saying, "I miss you." It is a detailed promise of the future. They suddenly agree to go to therapy. They finally apologize for that specific thing they denied doing for 3 years. They talk about buying a house, having children, or taking that trip you've always wanted. This is where the empty promise trap snaps shut. They are not promising these things because they intend to do them. They are promising them because they have studied you. They know your blueprint. They know exactly what you need to hear to lower your defenses just enough to let them back in. They are future faking, painting a beautiful picture of tomorrow so you will ignore the ugly reality of today. So why do we fall for it, even when we have a mountain of evidence proving they are liars? This brings us back to that biological mechanism I mentioned earlier. It's called intermittent reinforcement, and it is the exact same psychological principle that keeps people addicted to slot machines. If you put a coin in a slot machine and you lost every single time, you would eventually get bored and walk away. Conversely, if you won every single time, the thrill would disappear. But if you win randomly, unpredictably, your brain releases a massive surge of dopamine. You stay at the machine not because you are winning, but because you might win. In a toxic relationship, the abuser is the slot machine. Most of the time, they're cold, distant, critical, or abusive. But every once in a while, usually when you're pulling away, they hit the jackpot. They become the person you fell in love with. They're charming, attentive, and seemingly vulnerable. Your brain floods with dopamine, and you feel an immense sense of relief and euphoria. This creates a trauma bond. You aren't just emotionally attached. You are chemically addicted to the relief they provide from the pain that they caused. You begin to live for those crumbs of hope. You endure weeks of silence or cruelty just for that one moment of clarity where they say, "I know I messed up. I'm gonna change." The tragedy is that the empty promise creates a state of cognitive dissonance. This is the mental discomfort experienced by a person who holds 2 or more contradictory beliefs, ideas, or values at the same time. On one hand, you have the reality of their behavior, the lies, the cheating, the yelling, the neglect. On the other hand, you have the potential they keep promising, the sensitive soul who cries and says they're broken and just need your help. Your brain tries to reconcile these two versions of the same person, and because you're an empathetic person, you choose to believe the words instead of the actions. You cling to the potential because accepting the reality is too painful. But here is the hard truth you need to internalize. Potential is not reality. A promise without a plan is just a lie. When they engage in hope-hoovering, they are buying time. They are buying another month of your supply, your energy, and your adoration without having to do any of the actual work required for a healthy relationship. They are essentially paying for a Ferrari with a check they know is going to bounce. And every time you accept that check, you teach them that your boundaries are negotiable. You teach them that all they need to do to escape accountability is to dangle a carrot of hope in front of your face. The cycle usually moves in 3 stages: the idealization, the promise, the devaluation, the breaking of the promise, and the discard, or the silent treatment. Then, just as you stabilize, the Hoover returns. It is exhausting. It erodes your self-esteem until you no longer trust your own perception of reality. You start to feel crazy. You start to think, maybe I am demanding too much. Maybe they really are trying this time. Breaking free requires you to stop listening to what they say and start looking exclusively at what they do. You have to become a scientist observing a subject. If a person tells you they're going to drive you to the airport, but they never show up, it doesn't matter how meaningful their excuse is. The fact is, you're standing on the curb with your luggage. You have to kill the hope that they will change, so that you can birth the hope that you can heal. Radical acceptance is your exit strategy. It means accepting that this person is exactly who they have shown you they are, not who they promised to be. It means realizing that the person you are in love with is a fictional character played by an actor who hates the script. The moment you stop waiting for them to become the version of themselves they promised, you take your power back. You realize that you are not a rehabilitation center for emotionally stunted adults. You are not a waiting room for someone else's potential. You are a complete person worthy of consistent, boring, reliable safety. Real love is not a cycle of high highs and low lows. Real love is safety. It is consistent actions over time. It is promises kept, not just made. This journey out of the fog is difficult because it requires you to grieve. You have to grieve the future they promised you. You have to grieve the fantasy. But on the other side of that grief is freedom. On the other side is a life where you're not glued to your phone, waiting for a breadcrumb of affection. You have the power to break the cycle right now by deciding that your peace is more important than their potential. You can decide that you are done being a gambler in your own life. You are ready for a sure thing, and that sure thing is you. If you recognized yourself in this story, and you are ready to stop betting on empty promises and start betting on your own future, I want you to make a commitment to yourself right now. Write, "I trust my reality," in the comments below. Let that be the first truthful sentence of your new life.